Now, so what do you think was done here? How did this mission change the state of play between Iran, its neighbors, and us?
Well, that remains to be seen. There's no doubt that the neighbors of Iran view Iran as a malicious influence. Saudi Arabia doesn't like him. Qatar doesn't like him. Nobody likes him
Hmm.
because of all the the bad things they do around there. So silently, no matter what they're saying publicly, silently they're kind of going, yeah, yeah, take it to them because nobody wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. The question is, did we destroy their nuclear capability? And I think
Hmm.
it's getting bogged down in the weeds now. I mean, if I was Secretary Hegseth, I would not be running around screaming about how you guys are all picking on me and this isn't fair. And the thing about you're disparaging the pilots. I mean, they dropped the missile where it was supposed to go. If it didn't do what it was supposed to do, that's not the pilot's fault. That's the missile's fault. And when this report came out, it's a preliminary report. It wasn't synchronized with anybody else. They've got so I'm sure they're using geospatial assets to look at the ground and mensurate and say, here's what we think happened. But they're not. I mean, the NSA is going to have SIGINT from reflections from people talking in Iran about what the damage is. The CIA is going to have human sources. Israel's got their sources. All that's got to be collated together to determine, what the effects were on the target. And so, the press is going to run out there and say what they want to say, which they did.
Hmm.
But if it had been me, I'd have said, hey, preliminary report, we'll get back to you. Instead, with all of this screaming about how, it's obliterated, you're a damn liar, it's obliterated, it
Hmm.
does two things. Number one, if the report comes out and says it is obliterated, who's going to believe that now? I mean, you're just going to say, oh, you just said that. Whereas if you just said, that's preliminary report, let us collate the data and we'll get back to you. And then when it comes out being obliterated, when you say it, people say, okay, that's great. The second thing is that I'm afraid that the bottom line is you want to know what happened in Iran. Did we destroy the nuclear capability or did we
Right.
not?
Hmm.
And if you are so fired up about having destroyed it, if you put everything behind this now, and now your pride's involved and everything else, and there's no way I'm going to say we didn't destroy it, well, then you're not actually looking to see if you destroyed it because you don't want
Mm.
to disprove your own thing. And so if Iran is now building a weapon, because there are, the unknown 400 kilos of enriched uranium, that maybe it was in Fordo, maybe it wasn't. And you want to be looking for that. You don't want to say, I'm not going to look for that because that'll prove I didn't destroy it. And if I prove I didn't destroy it, I'll look bad, so I'm not going to say anything.
Right.
I just think they should have just said, we'll get back to you on a preliminary assessment. The bottom line is you don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I mean,
Right.
and they're building a nuclear weapon. Everybody that says, it's for peaceful purposes is ridiculous. The evidence is completely overwhelming that they're building a nuclear weapon. I mean, Iran has a nuclear reactor. Most people don't know this, but there's a nuclear reactor in Iran providing power to Iran.
Hmm.
All of this stuff that they've refined, that they say is for peaceful purposes, every bit of that uranium, none of it has gone to their nuclear reactor.
Why is
All of
that?
the fuel for the nuclear reactor is given to them from Russia. Russia is making that thing operate. Russian technicians are on the ground making it work. If this really was for peaceful purposes, wouldn't you be using it in your peaceful reactor? But they don't use it for that. And on top of that, you don't have to refine it to the weapons grade in order to use it in a reactor, which they have. I mean, it's
And why would you hide
proven
it?
beyond a
And why would you
shadow of a
hide it?
doubt. We have, I mean, we know they have 400 kilos of weapons grade uranium or almost weapons grade uranium because they showed it to the inspectors. They walked out of there with a checklist saying, okay, we got this much. So, I mean, that's what we know of.
Uh huh.
So they're definitely making a bomb. And the question is, do you want Iran to have a bomb? And since I think Clinton was the very first one, maybe before him, maybe it's Bush, every president has said they cannot get a bomb. And they've all gone about it different ways. But the bottom line is they cannot have a bomb. And we were presented with a unique opportunity here, some unique circumstances. I was talking to a radio interview the other day, and somebody was screaming about the JPCOA from President Obama, on and on and about that. Well, he tried a different route, JPCOA. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I didn't personally agree with it, but it's you're trying something. But I told him if the situation had been presented to Obama like it was presented to Trump, with the air defenses gone, retaliatory capability gone, Hamas annihilated, Hezbollah, a wounded tiger refusing to fight, there's a 50-50 chance he would have dropped a bomb. I
Hmm.
mean, it's such a
If we'd
partisan
had
thing.
one.
We don't want the Iran to get a nuclear weapon. I mean, the reason that, and there's a lot of people that say that, well, if he gets a nuclear weapon, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is number one, everybody else will want a nuclear weapon. Saudi Arabia's going to want one. Everybody's going to want their own nuclear weapon for deterrence. But the main problem is that Iran has proven themselves to be a bad actor on the world stage. People would compare it to North Korea. There are comparisons, and I'll get to that in a minute. But people compare it to North Korea. North Korea is not running around. They don't have Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and
Right.
all these malign actors around. Now, the one thing that was constraining Iran from really using all these guys to the maximum capability, and they were using them all the time, but they always kept in the back of their head, this is a proxy thing. We need plausible deniability. We can't let them know that there's no direct link between us and the militias in Iraq, say. When a militias in Iraq launches something against U.S. forces, hey, that's not us, that's that militia. Sorry about that. Well, if they have a
Right.
nuclear weapon, the one thing that was keeping them in check was if we took it hard enough, we would just say we're sick of you and we're getting rid of you. Well, if they get a nuclear weapon, we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to take on a nuclear armed Iran because they can annihilate cities all over the place.
Sure.
And that's why they want the weapon. If you look at North Korea, um, North Korea is instructive in two ways. For us, North Korea is instructive that if you just sit there and do diplomacy and diplomacy and diplomacy and diplomacy, they got a bomb. We
Right.
never did any kind of military objective in North Korea, and they built a bomb. If you look at it from Iran's side, once North Korea had the bomb, we will never do any kind of midnight hammer against North Korea because they have the bomb. So Iran is sitting there saying, the one way that's the reason they're striving so hard to get this weapon is precisely to protect their own regime. And the reason we don't want them to have a weapon is precisely because if they get it, they'll be a malign actor on the world stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these people are part of a death cult. At least the Ayatollah and IRGC and those guys, they believe in that whole 12th Imam thing. So, I mean, they got nothing to lose if they foment nuclear annihilation. And I know some people probably listen and they think, "Oh, come on, Victoria." No, really. I mean, these are people who believe that stuff, and they're willing to do it to achieve whatever goal that is. Whether I'm not, what is their goal, Brad Taylor? What is their
Well,
goal?
their goal, I wouldn't say that I mean, there's some extreme religious zealotry going on there, no doubt about it. But I mean, if they truly were a death cult willing to sacrifice themselves, then they would have done it. I mean, you can only be a martyr once. It doesn't matter if you're a martyr with a nuclear bomb or a martyr with a hand grenade. You're
They
still a
got
martyr.
plenty. Don't they have
Uh,
plenty of martyrs out there doing that stuff for them, or they did before Israel got their hands on them? Yes.
well, not really. Shia does not subscribe to suicide terrorism.
Hmm.
Sunnis do. That's not to say that Shia won't do it if it's a wartime situation, but there's actually fatwas from the religious clerics in Iran saying suicide terrorism is a bad thing, don't do it. But then they turn around and fund Hamas, who is Sunni. When they do the intifada and the suicide waves, that's Iran paying for it. They don't have any problem with that. And it was a Shia guy that drove the truck into the barracks in Beirut. He's Shia, and he blew himself up. So I mean, they will do it, but it's not something that they don't believe in. Suicide waves. And they want what they really want is just to be a hegemon on the Middle Eastern stage. They want to be the power broker in the Middle East. They control everything in the Middle East. And they were doing pretty good at it, to be honest with you. I mean, their slow roll approach to things, they had Assad in Syria running all that. We went into Iraq. We left Iraq. They then got all of the sway inside Iraq, all the proxy forces in there, which are popular
Yeah.
mobilization forces, went against ISIS. Nobody was doing anything against ISIS. So villages basically came together and said, we got to do something against ISIS. And they formed what they called popular mobilization units, which then started going. Nobody was helping these guys, and they're out there with flintlocks. Well, Iran went into Iraq and said, I'll train you. I'll give you weapons. Go fight ISIS. And we actually went to fight ISIS alongside Iran. I mean, it was kind of like, you don't shoot at me and I won't shoot at you. Let's go take it to ISIS. Well, in the same time they're doing that with those popular mobilization forces, they're inculcating them. Here, you got to like this, you got to like this, you got to like this. And next thing you know, they got an iron grip on Iraq. So the Houthis started they had a problem with the oil revenues in Yemen. They had a little bitty uprising. The next thing you know, they're taking over half the country. And Iran steps into that ungoverned space and says, hey, I'll train you, equip you, you just swear fealty to me. So now they've got Yemen.
Yep.
So they were doing pretty well. Hezbollah was a very powerful. They took over. Hezbollah started as nothing, and they're going back to nothing now. But for a while there, they were 40% of the government. They were literally a legitimate government bloc. The biggest bloc in the Lebanese government was Hezbollah, which swears fealty to Iran. So Iran's, idea of being a hegemon inside the Middle East was working. It was going pretty well. The only thing that screwed that up was October 7th. They were pretty stupid about that because that just knocked everything over.